All right. All right. Now I'm just going to take a moment to double check all the services, all the platforms that I broadcast to, make sure everything's muted. And then last one. Excuse me. Last but not least, there it goes. All right, cool. Looks like we are good to go.
Awesome, man.
Hello and welcome to WyzGyz Entertainment. This is your host, Wyman. We are joined today by special guest Anthony Figaro.
Figaro, there you go.
Figaro. Welcome. We're checking out God's Hand, a New Orleans supernatural thriller. By the way, do you pronounce it Nolans?
No. No, people. No, that's one of those things where you kind of, I don't know. People who are from here, or from the city and around the city, usually it's New Orleans. We carry out the Orleans, but we don't say Nolans. You know what I'm saying? We say New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? So it's more like a or than a all.
New Orleans. Yeah. Yeah. That sounds smooth. That must be a tourist trick.
It is. It's one of those things you can always tell. The other one you can always tell is there's a hustle down on Bourbon Street. It's old now. It used to be. Used to get people, but they used to get tourists, and they used to ask them. They tell the tourists, they say, "Man," I bet you I can tell you where you got your shoes. And they would say, "Okay." And it would say, $10. I bet you I can tell you where you got your shoes from. Wise guy, I bet you I can tell you where you got your shoes from. I bet you $10. You got them on your feet in your house right now. And they would tell them you got them on your feet on Bourbon Street, bro. And they'd clip, and they'd hustle them for the, $5, $10. Yeah, bro. They'd bust them every time, bro.
Did that actually work? Did people pay up?
Yeah, because they tourists and shit, and then it's Bourbon Street, and they probably drunk, you know what I mean? Because it's a drinking town, man. You can go, it's just it's open carry, so it's it don't matter where you are, you can always be drinking. So people love that shit, and they drinking on the street, they get loaded, and they hustling them for their money and shit,
Oh, jeez. You end up with lots of drunks laying out on the street, passed out.
Bourbon Street is like it's like a poor man's Las Vegas, bro.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like it's a middle class Las Vegas. It's like you go down there and you get all of the Vegas shit. There's gambling down there. There's women there, but it's very, it's not the high class, you know what I'm saying? And so when you go down there, yeah, man, there's like piss and throw up all over the place.
Oh, damn. That's the part I'm looking forward to.
It's wild, bro. It's a sight to behold, man. Going down there in the daytime's nice. They clean it up at like 8 o'clock in the morning. They wash everything down. And when you go in there in the daytime, it's nice, man, because it's it's a little more family friendly. It's open and stuff. You can kind of go into the little places and stuff like that. At nighttime, it's wild, bro.
I bet. Can only imagine. Wow. So we've got God's Hand. Man, you know what? I don't think I've ever had you on my show. What the hell?
I don't think so, man. I've been. Like I said, I came into CG, I guess, around May, I think.
Okay. All right.
May, June, maybe. And it just kind of, got in and just started talking to people and just slowly kind of, just from the ground up, man. I'd never been on EBS's show or Mail-In Show or Cecil Show or anything. I went on Fragga last night. We drew. That's the first time I've been on Fragga show, but it was just a drawing and chill stream, which was cool, man.
Oh yeah.
But it's mainly been just the heart of CG, which has supported me and pushed me forwards. Literature Devil, Bancroft, Clayton, the Barton Boys, Rotten Glory, Shea Zombie, Mandy,
right on.
All, you know what I mean? Like all the heart, man. All the foot soldiers and shit. That's I come up through the foot soldiers, man.
Yeah, yeah, all good people for sure. Excuse me. And this is it looks like your first campaign.
Yeah.
All right. Before we dive into the book, would you take a moment and just kind of give us an idea what your background is, how you even got into comics, and then how you eventually decided to get to releasing your own book? I mean, have you been in the comics industry before, or did you just have a passion for drawing or storytelling?
Okay. Can you hear me right now?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Your video seems to be frozen, though.
Yeah, my image looks like it's frozen.
Yeah, it is.
Let me see. I'll tell you what. Give me 1 second. Let me try this and see if this will work.
Okay. Oh. Ooh.
I'm gonna try this. Sometimes when the video is running, it causes issues. So we'll just do this. So how I got started into comics is I was talking to somebody about this, but
Yeah,
I grew up. What's that?
What's your origin story?
Yeah, I mean, I started in probably like everybody. I mean, for me, I started in the 80s, so I watched. Before I was in the comics, I watched, He-Man, Thundercats, Johnny Quest, G.I. Joe, live action Incredible Hulk, live action Wonder Woman, live action Spider-Man. Like, I had seen all of that stuff. I think I actually was watching Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends before I was into comic books. So it was in that Saturday morning cartoon thing, and then you'd come home from school, and from like 2:30 to 4:30, you could watch, cartoons would come on and everything like this. So I kind of came up like that. So I think that primed me, for that. So then when I was about 10 or 11, I wound up, and I have no idea why this happened, or I don't know what this was, but the fates, the fortunes, they do what they do. But we wound up at like a 7-Eleven. And me and like 2 or 3 other little kids, we was like checking it out. And there was comic books in there, on the little racks and shit. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know, we just decided, well, let's just take them, So we just started stealing comic books, and we bring them home. we bring them home, and then we would sit around and we would trace them. You know what I mean? And it was like, that was the thing: who could trace the best, and that moved into who could copy. You know what I mean? The best. And then who could add, a gun here, add different stuff to it. So it started like that. And it just, man, it just, and then I guess, just you steal it, you might as well read the damn thing. And, you start reading them and you go, it's kind of cool. I guess I'll be up there stealing next month as well. You kind of, you ran, I ran that, I pirated that 7-Eleven quite a bit. I'm trying to think, because I don't think I made it to a comic book store until I was like maybe 13. So I went like 2 years of just thieving. I still have most of those books too, man. They're in the type of condition you would think a 10-year-old thief would keep them in. So but I haven't. But I came up in a time where you had, I think my first first one that I remember that I have is Iron Man by Bob Layton. And it was during the Iron Wars, and he had the Silver Centurion Iron Man suit on. And at that time, McFarlane was on The Incredible Hulk, and Jim Lee was on War Journal, and Silvestri was on X-Men. And so I came in that period of time, and that's who eventually influenced me as far as style wise. And then Liefeld came in, and that whole thing, and then the Image thing, and that was big too, because that was the first time, I think, as an artist, you got to dream bigger. It didn't fully set in, because you still wanted to work for Marvel, you still wanted to work for DC, you still wanted to draw Wolverine, Batman, Superman, you still wanted to do that. But Image, I think, was the end goal, right? It used to be the end goal was to work for Marvel and DC. Image changed everything to where the end goal was not to work for Marvel and DC. Working for Marvel and DC was a springboard to spring you into being able to now create your own IP and do your own thing. Image, I think, revolutionized the industry in that way. Prior to that, it's like, the top spot is drawing Batman. The top spot is drawing Superman. That's the top spot, is drawing these books and writing for these books. That's the top you can go. Image, I think, shifted to where it was like, well, no, there's this place where you can create your own IPs and you can be the master of your own destiny in this department. And I think that was big for me. I remember when Killer Instinct, when they toured on the buses, and they went, I was like 17 when they did that. Jim Lee, Silvestri, and all, and they just toured around on a Killer Instinct tour on a bus, and which was cool, man. It was like it just shifted everything. And so I think, I guess around 2002, I made a decision to get kind of serious. And in 2003, I attended my first convention, which was in World Chicago at the Rosemont, and it was nice, man. It was, this is, I make a joke, but it's like, this is when comic book conventions were comic book conventions. And you would go, man, and there'd be carpet all over the place. DC would be there, Marvel would be there, and Image, Dark Horse. Like, it was just full. Artist Alley, nothing but comic book artists. You know what I mean? It was just, that's all it was. It was a comic book convention. There wasn't so much of this, I guess, pop. There was no, I mean, there really was no cosplay at this point. I remember this specifically, because they used to, basically what would happen is kind of B-list porn stars would come, and that's who used to, man, and they used to make some money, bro, because there was no cosplay. So they'd come dressed in these, bikinis and these, and it would, like, that was part of it. And so I met a guy. He was his name was Brent Irwin, and he had a company called Ape Entertainment, and Ape Entertainment was doing books. And he had another little guy. His name was Marcus DeGisu. Marcus and I hit it off, and he had a story. I drew it for him.
No.
And we wound up getting published through Ape Entertainment in 2004. And then Marcus and I said, okay, well, let's do our own thing, and let's make our own book. And Marcus started Lightning Age Studios. We were partners in that, and we put out Justice City Chronicles #1, which was distributed through Diamond and everything. And that came out in October of 2005. And I tell people, it's just one of those stories, man. I laugh about it now, because you learn to be okay with your past. But that was in October of 2005. Well, in August of 2005, Katrina hit New Orleans, and it just upended, it just completely upended everything. And it just changed. It changed me. It changed a lot of things. And I tell people, I just kind of went into I tried to basically, I used alcohol and, for about 10 years, man. And hold on one sec.
All right. Welcome everyone who joins in. Post all your questions in the chat. Be sure and like, comment, excuse me. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. He'll be back with us momentarily.
There we go. So I spent about spent about 10 years, um, you know, drinking pretty heavily, and getting in trouble and stuff like that. And finally, the fates decided to give me another chance, and I wound up finding my way out of there. And
Cool.
I don't know, when I finally came to, it was like, what's going on with comic books? What's been going on over here?
You there? You just went silent. Oh, hello? You were temporarily muted and then you got unmuted. Muted. Unmuted.
Now.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Sorry about that. We're about to get hit with a hurricane, so my reception's a little bit whacked out right now.
Oh yeah, you got another one coming through.
Yeah, man, they done ran out of names. We got Zeta now. They had to go into the Zeta. So we just got hit with Delta. Now it's Zeta. So so my internet's a little bit spotty right now. But it was weird coming back into comics. I went to some conventions, and I remember showing up, man. I had my portfolio and everything, and I show up and I'm like, hey, well, where's Marvel? Where's DC? Where's like, oh, they don't come anymore. And I'm like, they don't come anymore. I'm like, this was a wizard show. This was a wizard show.
Oh my God.
I'm like, well, they don't come anymore. I'm like, what the shit, bro? And so I'm looking around, and there's all these people selling, Bible stuff, and I'm like, what the hell, man? And prints, and it was a culture shock, because it was totally different than how I remembered it.
What year was this?
This was like in, I want to say maybe 12, 13, somewhere around there. 12 or 13. I hadn't been to a convention since 06. You know what I'm saying? So it had been a stretch for me.
Wow, they've been out of DC and Marvel haven't been in comic book conventions that long?
I haven't, as far as Wizard goes. Now, I know they were going to San Diego. I know they were going to New York.
Okay.
Right. That was still going on. But
all right.
Wizard World, man, because if you go back to 2006, like, Wizard World was top tier, brother. There really wasn't, like, that was the scene. Everybody was there at Wizard World.
Yeah.
Even the newer ones, like, even if you went to, like, Austin, when they opened Austin, Wizard World Austin, I'm not sure if Marvel was there, but I know Aston was there. I know Dark Horse was there. I know, you know what I mean? Like, they used to have a company called Viper, Devil's Due. They was all there. So in that regards, it shifted to where you really didn't see. What they started doing is they started sending reps, is what they really started doing. They stopped showing up, and they started sending writers and artists to pimp books, not just their own books, but the entire books system. You know what I mean? Like, Devil's Due would send some guys down there, and they would have them, let's just say they had two teams that would go down. One team would be a writer and an artist. One team would be a writer. One team would be an artist. And that's 4 books, but they sent them down there with, say, 10 books to sell. So they got to sell 10 different books. 5 of them, they don't even, they're for other artists and stuff. So they kind of shifted how they did all of that. So there wasn't an official capacity. So there was no more real portfolio reviews. That's really got wasted. It was weird. And then as time went, because I started participating, selling original artwork, which got to be weird too, because the clientele's different now. They're used to buying prints. So you have a whole generation of consumers that do not have any appreciation for original artwork. They just don't.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, they just don't. It's like they would prefer to buy a $10 print that everybody else has than spend $45 on an original piece. They just would. It's weird. Now, you still have connoisseurs out there who like original artwork, and when they like it, bro, I got a lady, man. She comes every year to see me, and she drops at least $150 every time. She wants to buy new artwork, all original stuff. She don't want prints.
Nice.
But that was what was different, and so then it was like you had to adapt, and so I started making prints and shit. But the whole time I'm making prints, I'm looking around and I'm sitting in tables, and there's a guy over here. He's selling beard oils, and there's a guy over here. He's selling pillows, and there's a dude over there doing steampunk stuff. And I'm like, what is this? What does this have to do? You know what I mean? Like, this is not making comics, man. And I would always see these guys pimping their own stuff, their own books and stuff, and I'd be like, that's, I want to be over there, man. And,
Right.
in 2016. Again, the fate stepped in for me, and a guy called me up. He said, "Hey, we got a mutual friend. I want to make a movie, but I want to make it into a comic book first." And she said to talk to you. So I said, "Yeah, cool, man." So we sat down, we hammered it out, and we did issue 1, which was like a 32-page floppy, and we crowdfunded that. I was just the artist on that. He kind of ran the campaign on that one on Kickstarter, and we crowdfunded that, and that was at the end of 2016, because we debuted it at Wizard World, which was Wizard World is always the first weekend in January in New Orleans. It's always the first weekend. It's the first Wizard of the season, and we debuted it at that show, man. And doing that bled something back into me, and it made me really hungry again to make, because people don't understand sometimes. I think creators do, but people may not understand. Like, drawing prints or drawing a piece, right? One piece, right, is not the same as drawing a comic book. It's two different skill sets, man.
Mm-hmm.
One skill set is about a single image. Creating comic books is about telling a story visually with multiple compositions to create one composition, right? And overall, to create this story, because the way I try to do it is if I draw a page, you should know what's going on without any words being on it. The words are extra. The words are just they're to complement the images, not vice versa. And so, it's a skill set. And I was like, man, I want to go back to doing that. I really enjoyed doing that this last go around. And so I started looking into how would I do this on my own and stuff like that. And I'm looking into Kickstarter and all this kind of shit like this, and so at this time, Richard Myers is on there, your boy Zach, and he's tearing it up and shit. And he's and so you just stumble onto this shit, man. You know what I mean? You start trying to figure out what's going on. You start listening and stuff, and I'm listening to this guy, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, got you. So I go into the comic book stores, and I'm looking at the comic books that he's talking about, and I'm feeling the same way.
Right.
I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm going, I remember a time when you used to stand in line to get your portfolio reviewed. I'm looking at the artwork in these Marvel books, and I'm going, you wouldn't even be allowed to stand in line if you had artwork like this. Like, you would, first, I'll be honest with you, you would be intimidated to stand in a line with artwork like that, because you're looking at these other guys who are standing in the same line as you, and bruh, these boys are bringing it. You're looking at their work going, man, these dudes are serious, bro. So looking at this type of artwork in these books, I'm like, well, what happened? Because, even when I was standing in line with C-list artists, they were way better than what I'm looking at right now currently. You know what I mean? And not every book, but there's a lot of books that you just like, this is a Marvel book, man. Like, this is crazy, bro. Like, this is, you know what I mean? Like, seriously, like, I don't even think Dark Horse would have done this back in the day. I don't think any of these smaller cats would have went through with this. And so I started feeling like, well, yeah. And then I'm listening to Myers, and I'm following this whole thing, all this Fallout shit, and then I'm looking at the censorship kind of stuff, the PC stuff, the kind of bull. Like you keep saying, it's just, it doesn't make any business sense. Like, if I pull everything out of it and I just take my personality out of the equation and I look at it and I say, okay, well, just from a neutral position, balls and strikes, business kind of position, I'm looking at this, it still don't make no sense. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It's like, look, you want to make Ironheart? Go for it, man. You want to make Lady Thor? Go for it. Do your thing. But why would you not give people the option to go read a regular Thor book and a Lady Thor book? And then you can capture both audiences. Like, it makes absolutely no sense why you would do something like that, that you would try to force your consumer to read something that they're not really asking for, to try to create a market that may not be there for consumers that don't really buy stuff. And it's like, wow, that makes zero sense to me. Why are you doing that? So from when I'm looking at it through that filter, it's like, well, Zach may not be right in what he's saying, but his theory holds just as much water as anything else. It's certainly not out of the bounds of reality. And so to hear people talk about his opinion as if it's racist and xenophobic and all that, I'm just like, this is bullshit. This is you're trying to deflect from what he's saying by using these tactics to kind of delegitimize his take on all this stuff. You're not really addressing what he's saying. You're just trying to delegitimize it. So it's like, okay, well, you just pulling a move. This is a tactic. This is a debate tactic. This is a political tactic. This is a bullshit tactic. That's what this is. So now you're sitting there going, okay, well, why aren't you just addressing the issue? Why are you handling it this way? You know what I mean? And so then you start asking yourself, like, well, if I have to pick sides, what side would I be on? The side that says, look, I don't know if I'm right, but this is what it looks like to me. Or the side that goes, okay, the moment someone says something that we don't, that makes us look bad, let's completely just go after their moral character and try to ruin them financially and just forever. Let's just forever ruin them and ruin their reputation, their name, their family, their business. I don't care if they've been working in an industry for 30 years. We're going to ruin them because they said something that challenges our legitimacy. And it's like, well, what kind of bullshit is this? You know what I mean? Because I'm like, because I start getting into my New Orleans mode, and I'm like, oh, we doing that? Well, look, why don't we just meet behind a building and we can handle it like that then? I mean, let's just do it. If that's how we're gonna play, then let's just play. Let's go all the way. Bottles and chains in the back alley. Then we'll figure this out. Let's settle it. We'll sort shit out real quick. But it's like, but that's not. You know, you don't. You get older. You're like, well, we're not doing that, man. Let's be reasonable here. You know.
For sure.
And so I just found myself saying, okay, well, I'm gonna make a book. And then again, the fates stepped in again, and the fates were like, I was delivering some artwork, some prints to a little charity for auction, and a local news guy was there, and he was like, hey man, we want to do a local story on you. And I'm like, oh cool, great, that's awesome. And so he hooked me up with this guy, and he says, hey look man, you have any stories, you know, about New Orleans or whatever? And I'm like, no. He's like, well, can you make one up? You got, you know? I'm like, yeah, sure, you know. And he says, you know, make it about New Orleans, using New Orleans characters and shit. So I sat down and I started kind of hammering it out, man. All of a sudden it started to come together. And I was like, yo, man, like this has got legs, man. I think I can make a run at this. And so then he did a story on it. And I said, man, opportunity presents itself. And so I threw it together and said, I'm going to do this. And put my campaign together. And even at this time, I wasn't CG. I was just, you know, I was just a neutral, really. And but I liked Indiegogo. I liked the platform better. I liked the flexible goal because I was new out the gate. So I was like, well, shit, let me do flexible, and then I can get what I can get and make what I can make.
Right.
And you know, and then I launched it on Halloween and just grinded it out. For 36 days, because I ended on December 7th, and I funded. You know, I got my 10,000. I finished with 10,900, almost 11,000, and you know, just kept promoting, man. You know, and was listening to EVS now, listening to Zach and shit, just kind of. You know, and so then you'd be on Facebook and you'd be promoting and stuff, and you'd hear people say things, and you knew it wasn't true because you'd heard it yourself. I'd watched it myself, so I was like, well, that's not true. And so you would go to try to say, well, I don't think that's actually factual, man. And then the next thing you know, man, you're getting kind of loaded up on, and it's like, well, wait a minute, man. This is yeah. And so at some point, you just like, again, this leads you back into this place of like, well, bro, like, you know, when you're standing in a spot and you're like, okay, so you have these people over here again, who will again, it not only attack you, but I mean, really try to harm you. I mean, really try to hurt you, man. Really try to say things that, and I have a theory on this, but they say things to which I can tell that they've never said these things to people to their actual face. I can tell that they use language in a way where I'm like, clearly you've never said this in front of someone before, clearly, because you have no understanding of what you're actually saying and what it actually means. Because I've come from a time when before you said something, you had to think about it and go, I may have to fight when I say this. So do I think I can win this fight? Because if not, I'm probably not going to say this, because I know that this is a line in the sand, that if you say this, this is serious. This means something, man. You can't just go willy-nilly throwing the language around. And the way they throw language around, I can tell they've never had to contemplate before, because as you get older, you realize that's a serious statement you're making, man. You know, that's a serious statement you're making, because again, what you're doing is you're trying to really impugn someone's character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, you understand, because it's like, yo, man, that's a serious move. There's responsibility behind it. There's consequences behind that.
Totally.
And I think that's part of the issue. I think it's an online culture that has developed where they can just say whatever and there's no consequences. So they're emboldened to say the most vile, harmful things without ever giving it a second thought. And when you see that and you realize where it's coming from, I don't want to be a part of that, man. You know, and so it's like, I don't think I chose anything. I just think I wound up looking down, and I was ComicsGate. My feet never really moved. I never went anywhere. You know, the surroundings around me, the culture around me, whatever, shifted in a direction that I'm not going there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, sure.
you know, when the lines are all drawn and everything's the way it is, I'm standing in this free zone called ComicsGate. So that's how I wound up here. You know, yeah. And I reached out to Preston Acevedo. He was already in. He's from Louisiana as well. Him and I talked. He's a good dude, man. He's got a few projects up right now. And yeah, and so he just kind of, you know, I went on his show that night, and you know, I came out the closet, man. You know, you know, but I just, you know, I guess I just announced what was already. I just was saying the truth, you know, just making it official, you know. Yeah. And then from then on, man, the ComicsGate community, man, I'll tell anybody that what ComicsGate, more than anything else, to me, what really separates ComicsGate from everything else is I think there's a real fellowship here. I really do. I think there's a true fellowship. Individuals are very, very down to help. They're very down to go on the mat for you. And I think that's what really separates it. Now, I think, you know, some of the other real attributes that it has is you have, you know, real talent, real artists, real writers, passionate people. You have great fans. You know what I mean? Like people who are, and again, not just fans, but content creators. Whether they're creating videos or comic books, they're still creating content. And in this new age, in this new frontier, where, you know, to me, ComicsGate isn't leading the way in this new frontier. It's creating it. It is developing it, and it's this marriage between crowdfunding and YouTube, and it's created an entirely different market from the old Kickstarter market. You know, the old Kickstarter market, man, it was like if you made $2,000, $2,500, you were considered a success. You know, and it's changed. The game has changed. This is a different animal now. And it's all, you know, and it's really cool to be a part of it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So that's kind of my deal. And it, you know, that's the short version of it. You
know? Was your original flexible goal set to 10,000?
Yes.
Okay. Now, how did you come up with that number? Did you like do the math and do some?
So when I ran my main pricing was printing. I knew what I wanted. And at the time, I think the best pricing I could get was about 4,000 for about 1,000 units. I wanted to get that, and then I had my colorist, which, you know, he was good, man. You know, I wanted to hire somebody who was legit. So with that, I think if you just added in the colorist in the printing, I think I was at close to either 65 or 7. It was around that. It was around that, you know.
Mhm.
And I had, you know, then I was like, okay, shipping. I'm trying to calculate that, and if you've never calculated that before, if it's your first time, it is a freaking it's ripe for disaster. I mean, it really is. It's very, very hard to calculate that shit. Because you don't, you know, you're like, okay, well, how do you get units? How many units? How much this? How much that? And then you had to factor in Indiegogo's cut. So you had to factor in if I hit the goal, how much they were going to take. If I didn't hit the goal, how much they were going to take, because it's 2 different cuts. Any type of marketing stuff, prints, metal bookmarks, because I offered metal bookmarks from the jump. I offered prints from the jump. And I mean, so it was like it put me there real fast. But I knew that I could probably squeeze it out at 6,500. I could probably squeeze it at 65. So I knew I was putting a book out one way or the other, man. I mean, you know what I mean? I was like, this is gonna happen one way or the other. I'm gonna get something out. And so that's how I calculated that.
So if you didn't hit the 10 grand, you would have been in the position to still deliver the.
I was gonna look, man, come hell or high water. If I had to rob Peter to pay Paul, whatever. If I had to go down on Bourbon Street and start hustling people for where their shoes at on their feet to make some extra money, I was getting the book made, man. It was gonna happen, bro. I wasn't taking no for an answer. So
that's cool. That's drive for you. And did you know at the time or through your research that, like, for all your backers who you ship to internationally, that there would be a jump in shipping costs?
I know. Not initially, I really didn't, man. I didn't quite understand that until I got in, because so much so that my first signature series tier didn't even have an international shipping on. I had to go back in and make an entirely different tier for that. And so then when it was like, I was like, oh shit, you know, because then you don't know what to do, and so you're looking at what's precedent here, you know, and precedent was like $25. And so I was like, okay, and that's what I love about this, because it's all organic, because you don't know, right? So then I wound up on a stream with Sim. And oh man, I can't remember who else I was on with, but we were talking about this, and we were talking about how much a hit international takes, man. We were like, man, it's a hit, you know. So we were trying to figure out. We just talk, you know, just brainstorm in different ways and shit. So it inspired me to then go in and say, okay, well, I'll tell you what, on my international, packages, right? We have an international signature series. On my international packages, I was going to go ahead and officially add something. And so we on the international signature series, we added, because it's $25 on the shipment, I believe. So we added an additional book, which was the one that I crowdfunded in 2016, the Chronicles of Count Carlos. And we added that, and then we added also a piece of original artwork. To help buffer in the 25, the extra 25 that you got to pay for shipping, which, you know what I mean, which won't affect the floppy and the original art's not going to affect the overall weight. So it's like we could throw this in there to, like I said, the compensate, because I get it, man. 25 is that's extra. That's just, you're paying for this plus you're paying an extra $25. Like, man, that's I get it, and I appreciate the people who do that. So we're trying to. Well, I wanted to give them something, man, to say, man, look, I appreciate it. I really do.
Now, those bonuses were provided to the international shipments. Did domestic backers get something similar, or have access to pick up the previously crowdfunded project?
Yes, it's actually an add-on.
Okay.
So any tier you back, there's some add-ons. Count Carlos is one. The T-shirts one. You can get another copy of God's Hand.
All right.
Yeah, so it's in the add-ons. You can you can pick it up.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And you said the other book was crowdfunded. How did you go through Kickstarter or something?
Yeah, Count Carlos was through Kickstarter.
How well did that do?
It did well. It was 12,000.
Oh, wow.
But it was, it's different because the metrics on that were 12,000, but that's none of that money came from the comic book community. None of it. Because number one, in 2016, there was no community like there is now.
Uh-huh.
There was no, you know what I mean? Like there was no way, unless you had been creating books, you couldn't, you know what I mean? Like you didn't have this, where were you going to go? What were you going to do? You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was, we hit local, and I did the same thing with my campaign in the beginning.
So it was mainly people who weren't necessarily into comics. They were, well, back years ago, Kickstarter, I guess, was not known for being about backing crowdfunded comic books. There was all kinds of other topics like producing a short film or things like that, or inventing some new product and getting that in the hands of people. Is that what you're talking about? Your backers were those types of people?
No. Well, the backers were basically, so I learned this through this campaign. The backers were local, right? So the guy who basically who Armando Leduc who launched it, he's like I said, he's into movies. He's kind of, he's an extra and stuff like this. He also got a band and stuff. So we held one. I think at one point we held like a poker night fundraising thing. So and it was in a bar room. You know what I mean? It was in a local bar room, and we invited people. You use email lists and stuff like that. You announce it, and people would come in. And I was there as an artist. I had all my artwork up and stuff, and they were doing, and so they raised money that way through the poker game. But then we also got to showcase off to the public some of the artwork and some of the project and stuff. So the most of it was, like I said, it was a friends, family, local driven thing, right?
Wow.
That's basically what it was. And so that's kind of was part of my take in God's hand, the beginning part of my campaign. I mean, I had flyers all over the French Quarter. And what I did was I generated those QRL codes.
All right.
I generated those and put them on the posters that way, because nobody's gonna the public is not gonna sit there and type in an email address or a website. They're just not gonna do it. But give them the option to just hold their phone up, and it takes it right to them. They love it. They'll do it all day long. So I did that on every poster that I put out. I put out posters in PJs. I put out posters in any place where I could put posters. And I went on at least a 50-mile. I do deliveries, right? So as I'm delivering shit, man, I'm putting posters in all the, and I'm in a 50-mile radius. So I got posters, in all these coffee shops, cafes, any place where there's a bulletin board where you can publicly post something. And I got posters out there. Boom, 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 boom.
Nice.
In trying to, and again, because I'm doing what I can do. I'm doing everything that's at my disposal.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? So that's I learned that from the Count Carlos campaign. The Count Carlos campaign got funded like that. Strictly grassroots, strictly on the ground, knocking on doors, making phone calls. That's basically how it got funded, man.
What a trip.
Yeah.
Let's check out your movie here.
There you go.
At nightfall, a string of murders in New Orleans.
Hey, can you do me a favor real quick? Can you pause that?
Yeah.
Can you refresh that for me?
All right.
Refresh that real quick, because I thought I had put up. You see, now slide your arrow over it real quick. Let me see. Hit that video right there. I'm sorry. Hit that video right there.
This one right here?
Hit that one right there. That's the one.
At nightfall, a string of murders in New Orleans has been uncovered. These aren't your typical acts of violence. The victims bear an unknown supernatural mark. When the city's protector, Marie Laveau, is found murdered, a collective team of reformed sinners with supernatural powers, led by the immortal Jean Lafitte, are called in to solve the case. As they delve deeper into Marie's death, they begin to suspect the rise of the Black Queen, an entity that has been asleep for centuries. Now awakened, her evil threatens to free the ancient gods of chaos and cover the world in a cloak of darkness. I smell human. As her minions crawl out of the shadows and threaten to unleash horror upon the city, only Jean Lafitte and his team of hunters stand between the darkness and the total destruction of the city. All help now rests in a team simply known as God's Hand.
That's pretty sick.
It is.
Did you make that trailer?
Well, we what happened with the trailer, the layouts, yes. What happened was we the guy who wanted to do the story on me, the local story, that was his voice, and he was like, man, he's like, let me do a voiceover for this thing, and I was like, man, go for it, you know. And so he did the voiceover, and I was like, wow, it was good, you know. And he's like, I said, let me make something, and we made a layout on Filmora, which wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad, but then the guy owed me some money, and he does videos and stuff, and so he filmed my initial, because the initial video had a 2-minute pitch on the end when I first launched, and it's me, and I'm at a comic book store, and he filmed it for me. It looks really good, man. And he said, well, look, I got a guy, he'll edit everything. And I said, well, look, I said, I want him to edit, can he re-edit this video? And I showed him my original version. I was like, this is how I want the panel slide, and I want it to feel like a comic book. And he's like, yeah. And so he took the voiceover, he took my layouts and everything, and he just polished it up, man. You know, so I was like, well, I'm gonna get my money's worth out to you. So, you know, but it came out really nice, man.
Cool. Excellent. Great artwork. So, what is your involvement in this project? I mean, do you basically do everything, like story, pencils, inks, colors, lettering?
Okay. All right. So basically, I do the story, and I do the pencils, right? And so I hired a digital inker, Eric Hodges. He's got a project right now, Dreaded Dinosaur Man, and he's also got a book that he's fulfilling right now called I think it's The Adventures of Roddy Piper.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. He did the digital inks for me, and then I had a guy. His name is Kid Icarus, and he did the colors for me.
Wow.
And he did the colors on the first chapter, because it's actually got 3 chapters in it. And then I brought in 2 different colors for the second and third chapters. And then I have my old partner who we did Justice City Chronicles together, Mark Isu. He's my editor / letterer. And yeah, I got to give him a lot of credit, man, because he takes the artwork, which again, he takes a piece of artwork and he kind of, polishes it up and makes it look like a mainstream finished product, man.
Yeah.
And that's the team.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah. So you're also going to be factoring the cost of the talent to the.
Yeah. Well, that too. I mean, I'm trying to pay him in, gumbo and etouffee and crawfish. You know what I mean? Po' boys only go so far,
Yeah, that's pretty trippy. I love this sword. It's so badass. Oh man.
Thank you.
80 pages, supernatural story created by local New Orleans artist Anthony Figaro, who was the artist on Chronicles of Count Carlos and Justice City Chronicles. How long has the idea for God's Hand been in your mind?
About a year. Because, like I said, because the guy, last year, I guess it was in August. It was August. The guy come to me and he was like, that's when they did the story on me. Well, the story aired, I'm going to put it like this. The story aired September 28th. Because it was right before a convention.
All right.
So yeah, it was right before a convention. And the story aired, and then we so it was August, I guess, when a dude came to me and he was like, hey, can you come up with a story about New Orleans and stuff? And I already had a story. It had nothing to do with New Orleans, but it was basically this kind, it was very rough, but it was a concept about, so you have like CSI, crime scene investigators. So I had this kind of idea about, well, what if you had PCSI, which is paranormal crime scene investigators. So the idea was that the supernatural, paranormal, occult world is real, but we don't know about it, you know. So what happens when, if you take that premise and you say, okay, well, the reality of things is that there are werewolves and there are vampires and there are these things that are going around killing people. Well, you heard about these stories back in the day. You don't hear about them so much now. Why? Right? So if it's real, and again, you're going on the premise that this stuff's real, why would that be? And so the only way you can kind of, well, the only way I decided to handle that is to say, okay, well, that's because there's a veil. There's a veil over everything, right? So you have spellcasters. And so I took kind of the idea like from kind of Harry Potter. I took Harry Potter and then I took Men in Black and kind of fused them together. And so,
Nice.
so there's a veil over everything, right? So there's these spellcasters and they cast these spells. They're all over the world. They're in different continents and stuff. And so what the paranormal crime scene investigators are, they basically go out, and when someone like a werewolf attacks or something, the public doesn't see it that way. The public just sees it as a gunshot victim. The public just sees it as a stabbing victim. Like they don't see it that way. And these police and these detectives that you see, they're not really police and detectives. They're these investigators. And so you have these teams, and each team has, you know, different entities on them. You know, you have an empath, a vampire, a werewolf, a necromancer, you know, who would go on these scenes and they would investigate, well, what happened here, you know. And so I was like, well, how do I take that and weave that into New Orleans and stuff like that? And I said, okay, well, I'm going to take that same premise, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix in Marie Laveau and Jean Lafitte. These are two New Orleans legends, two New Orleans icons from history, you know.
Oh.
So what I'm going to do is just make them, instead of, you know, just the regular investigators, they're basically like part of an intelligence unit. They're high profile, right? So they're almost like manhunters. You know what I mean? They're more like FBI profilers, right?
Yeah.
So they handle the high end stuff. And so the idea is that the story takes place after an incident that had happened 15 years ago called the Katrina incident. And I tie in Katrina and I tie this stuff in. And so when the story picks up, Jean Lafitte's been in exile for 15 years. And the story is he's now a mercenary monster hunter. And he's got a team. And we kind of introduce you to the team, and we kind of introduce you to what they do in the very beginning. And then what happens is he, you know, very early in the story, and we put this on the campaign page. The first 9 pages are on there. We want everybody to kind of understand what's going on. And in those first 9 pages, you meet Lafitte, you meet his team, and then he gets a phone call. He gets a call that basically says, "Hey, look, we need you to come back to New Orleans. Marie's been murdered, and we want you to come in. And you have 48 hours. We want you to come back in. We're going to reinstate you for 48 hours to to find out what happened, because nobody knows New Orleans better than Gene Lafitte.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this was his stomp. He was born and raised. This is his stomping ground. Man. It's been his stomping ground for 200 years. So he knows where all the bodies are buried. He knows where all the back doors are. He knows where all the secret places are. And so they bring him in and they give him 48 hours to find out what's going on. And so from there, the story just kind of it just starts to write itself at that point. You know,
so
what I
it's
mean?
almost at the same time almost got a hint of like Sherlock Holmes. You're trying to solve a mystery.
That what you want? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that becomes part of the fun, because you're trying to set up drama, and you're trying to set up this intensity of, okay, so you have this going on, which is already filled with magic and monsters and just, you know, and all this stuff. But there's also the tension of, you know, you only have 48 hours to find this. So it really gets you to the point of, it's very raw, it's very fast, it's very brutal, because it's like, we don't have time for finesse, you know. And then what happens is as you start finding out more pieces of it, everything links back to the Katrina incident. It pulls you backwards into that. And so you find out exactly what that's all about, why that's significant, and how that has affected what is currently going on. You know?
Yeah. I really dig this cover because, I mean, you've got the flame of his cigar lit with reds and oranges, and then it turns green, which is like synonymous with like the supernatural potions and things like that. But you also incorporate in the smoke itself all kinds of skulls, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a real voodoo character, like a real character from voodoo lore. Some people call him the Baron Samedi, Baron Samedi. But basically he's like the king of the dead. So in my story, he is the king of the dead, and the Baron is just one of his names, one of his faces, you know.
Gotcha. And then we got the standard cover.
You're right, because that once the campaign closes, that's the book. Because I will continue to sell the book. I'll sell it, you know, locally and on my website and stuff. But no, you won't be able to get the Indiegogo cover anymore once the campaign closes.
Yeah, so this is kind of like a black and white with grayscale, but with certain color highlights.
Correct.
Whereas this is full color.
Correct.
And then we have the Andy, is it Kuhn?
Andy Kuhn, yeah. Andy Kuhn cover.
Oh, wow.
He's actually he took over for Eastman and Laird when they kind of turned over the reins. He drew for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for a while. I think he's still. I think he's over at IDW right now. He works for. I think he's still doing turtle books and stuff.
Ah, wow, that's good stuff.
Yeah, he did a good job, man.
What a cool cover. And then you got some interiors, which is cool. Definitely great to. Little red frog. I love the way the lips are done, the eyes. Yeah, this is so cool. Is your artist or your colorist also the letterer, or do you have a separate person doing the lettering?
I have a separate person doing the lettering. Like I said, my editor is my letterer.
Oh,
Marcus Tagisu, who him and I we've partnered back up again. So it's no longer Lightning Age Studios, it's Wolfpack Comics now. And we'll be dropping another project probably in January. We've taken our old project, Justice City Chronicles, and we added another issue to it and some cool background stuff. And yeah, so we're gonna launch that in January.
all right. Now, is God's Hand intended to be a single one-shot story, or is it going?
No, it's a three-part. It's the initial run is going to be 3 parts.
3 parts. Okay.
Yeah. Each now, what I've done is broken it down into each story. Like this story here has a main story in it, which is what happened to Marie, where's this book, who killed her, right? And so at the end of the story, all that'll be answered. However, in the process of answering those questions, the answers have left us with a whole new set of questions. So book 2 will then go into answering those questions, and in the process of answering those questions and getting those answers will lead us to ask more questions. And book 3 will set us into a whole new universe and a whole new world where everything is kind of wide open now.
All right. Lots of action, which is cool.
Yeah, you got to keep it moving, man. You got to keep it moving, you know.
So you do the story and the pencil, so they know what to work from, and then they just do the inking and coloring from there.
Correct. When you run a campaign, it's even as an artist and a writer, man, you really are you have more of a Stan Lee role than anything else, because you're essentially a producer. You know what I mean? Because like, yeah, that's great. I'm doing the art and the writing, but now, you know, that has to be edited. That, you know, then you go through placement of word bubbles. You go placement of, you know, when stuff gets cut down. Can it be cut down that far? Did you know? Can we afford to not put this piece of information in there? You know, and you know, then you get the, you know, and then it's like, then the colors come in, and you're like, okay, well, this background color is not quite going with what we're trying to do here, because this is, you know, an angry scene, and you got a blue background. It's too cool, so we want something a little dark, a little, you know, more red. And then once that happens, then you go back in and you go, okay, overall now we want to lay in a page color, you know, because if you look at some of the earlier pages, there's a greenish, and when we ran a transition in some of the pages and stuff like that. Like that's a solid black, but the one underneath it, you'll see there's a gradient. It goes from a blue to a white. And so, because you want an overall feel, so when you look at it overall, the page should have a feel to it. Then each individual panel should have its own feel to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you get into that shit, man. It's production. You are definitely a producer. You're definitely, you know. You see, we ran that darker from the bottom to the top, you know, because here up top you have this light source. You have this light. You're kind of looking up at him, and then you look, you know what I mean, and the page it panels down.
All right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like you think about all that stuff. You add all that stuff in there, you know, and so the light brings you down into the dark, and then you have the shadows in the corner down. You know what I mean? So it's like it pulls you down.
Cool. What a trip. Yeah. And then you got Prince.
Correct.
Cool.
So that's one that because we missed our initial deadline, we added in a bunch of extras that we would just, you know, because the fans have been extremely patient and extremely understanding. So everybody will get that print. That's one that just everybody gets.
Oh, nice.
That's another one that probably everybody's going to wind up getting.
Cool. And then you got bookmarks.
Yeah, those are the images on the bookmarks. The bookmarks themselves look really good. When we go through, if you go to the updates, you can look at them and actually see them because they're metal.
Oh, all right.
They're so hard, man. They're so hard to get a good picture of. Like, I don't care how good you take a picture. You just do not. You will not appreciate a metal bookmark until you hold it in your hands and shine it to the light, bro. I swear, I'm telling you.
Oh man, that sounds trippy. So it's basically, this is the front, and then the God's Hand logo is on the back.
No, it's 3 different bookmarks because the back is metal. Yeah, the back is metal.
So
it's an aluminum is what it is.
Is it a plain metal, or is there something printed on the backside?
Nothing printed on the backside.
All right.
I'm not even sure. I'm sure it's possible, but for the most part, the reason that it's hard to do that is because it's called the sublimation process, right? So what that is it's not printed on the metal. Okay, so what they do is they use a special ink and a special paper, and they print it, and then you get the metal, and then you lay it on there, and then you heat press it on there. And so what happens is it superheats it, and what happens is the solid ink skips the liquid process and goes straight into a gas, and it infuses it into the metal. So it's in the metal. Like, you're not going to chip it off. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's not on top of the metal, it's in the metal.
That is so
that's what makes it. That's what really makes the metal that's done through sublimation. That's what makes it really cool, bros. Because it's not printed on the metal. It's in the metal.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was a question too, whether it would chip off or scratch off.
Yeah, no, it's a trip, and you get them done on this mirror metal, so when you look at it, you can see your own reflection in it. Like, it's that.
Damn.
It's that. That's what I'm saying. Like, photographs will never give. I don't give it. They'll never give you actually what is cool about it.
Wow, that's a trip. Definitely looking forward to that. Stretch goals unlocked. The trading cards.
Yes.
So you got a trading card, and on the backside it tells you, I guess, some story.
Yeah. Tells you who. Yeah, Jean Lafitte, and that's the villain of the story, Zorba Sooth.
And then you've got the Andy Kuhn print.
Everybody will get one of those as well.
God's Hand tarot card. Is it a single tarot card or a whole deck?
It's a single tarot card.
All right.
It's the Death's tarot card.
Oh, neat. Don't tarot cards usually have something written on the backside?
Well, this is the back. The Death one is the back. If you look at the other side, that's the back of it. That's the Death.
Oh, all right.
That's the 13th card, the Death card.
Gotcha.
We'll probably make some more for the next campaign.
Oh, cool. Thanks to the fans, printing, local printers. All right, cool. About the creator, say some background on you. All right.
Yeah, if you go to the updates, you can see some of the product, the actual product. That's the actual cards right there.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And tarot cards are physically larger in dimension from.
Yes, correct. If you look at that top one in the top left, you can see the length of it. You can see it's longer.
Yeah.
I had another picture. I guess I didn't post it, but it has it laying on the table, and then it has the trading card laying on top of it.
Oh,
so
okay.
You can actually see it. I don't have it in there, but I took one. I know I have one like that.
All right, cool.
That's the metal, and if you look, you see the sheen on it.
Oh man, that looks so nice.
That's the metal. It's that reflective. It's like you can't take a picture straight up on it because all you can see is your own reflection. You know.
Or your camera's reflection.
Right. And so what we did too was, while you're on this one, I think it's in the next one, but on this one, if you that one that's in the top right hand corner, those items right there, that sticker, that bookmark, that trading card, and that other bookmark, those are going to be we basically decided I made 10 of those bookmarks, 5 of those trading cards, 30 of those die cuts. And then the bronze is going to be kind of a secret. No one will know anything about that one. But we made 10 of those purple bookmarks with the griever on it, and we're going to pick out 10 random backers and slide those in there. Those trading cards, we have 5 of those. We're going to slide those into 5 random backers, and then we have 30 of those die cut stickers, and we'll pick 30 backers and slide them in there. And then I'm not telling how many, but we're also going to slide out some of those bronze God's Hand metal bookmarks as well.
Whoa. Whoa. Man, so cool looking.
That was with the trading cards right there.
Signed and ready to go. All right. Stretch goal unlocked. That's where you share more about the Indie Coon cover.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
That was
what
before it got colored.
Did Indie Coon color his own work?
Say again?
Did
Yes.
Andy Coon?
Yeah, well, he has his own colorist.
Oh, all right. All right.
Let me show you this real quick. Go down. I think it's there. Go down one more. Go right there.
Oh,
Click
all
on
right.
that.
The
Wait. No. Come up one. Come up one. That one. Hit that one right there. If you want to see what that looks like, you can click on that link and you can get a digital copy of that book.
Oh, okay. Nice. Did you guys, when you launched the campaign, do the, oh, actually, I don't even know if it was available on Indiegogo at the time, where you, during pre-launch, you could set up a mailing list?
I stumbled through all that. I basically, you know what I mean? Like it was like, because when I did that, I mean, I winged all that, man. Really, I did. I just, you know, I did it all by myself, and so I kind of, I did run a pre-launch page, and what favored me is, again, the fates kind of helped me out with this, is that I had 2 conventions I did. One convention was before it launched, and the other convention was like on November 3rd or something. So it had just launched. And what I did was, everyone who bought artwork or purchased from me, I asked them if they would be interested in the book and could I have their email address.
All right.
So I collected about 50 or 60 email addresses that way. You know what I'm saying? Just
right.
Again, most of what I did was all, I guess you could call guerrilla style, like on the ground, like face-to-face, you know, interactions, man.
Yeah.
I would much rather do it digitally. I would much rather have people send out their own stuff, man. It's, you know, because it's very time consuming, man. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time when you do it that way.
For sure. For sure.
But that's how I wound up getting. That's how I wound up getting the original kind of sign up stuff.
Yeah. Welcome, Mad Ruth. No questions, but I am digging the artwork and colors. Book looks really good.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for joining. Let's check out these perks. Dang. So, as I tell everyone, I love when creators have a featured tier, because it's a way of looking. It is the, you know, the most bang for your buck. So you get to experience the book and everything. Plus, you often get like little extra goodies, and it's not the cheapest tier. It's not the most expensive. It's somewhere in between. And this signature series gives you the book and a metal bookmark. Very
which
cool.
is which will all be signed by me.
All right. Even the bookmarks are signed?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Sweet.
You sign them with either a gold, silver Sharpie or a paint pen.
You said the other option is painted? I think there's a delay.
We good now?
Test, test, test.
Oh, how about now?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I think there was like some delay. It's either being signed with the Sharpie, colored Sharpie, or it'll be. Did you say painted?
Paint pen. One of those.
Paint pen.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Cool. Oh man, God's Hand T-shirt.
Yeah, you can get those outright, or like I said, they're in the add-ons as well.
Nice. Because I backed the book, but I don't remember getting a T-shirt. Oh, okay, all right. I gotta pick up a T-shirt before this is over.
Those T-shirts came out nice.
Nice, fantastic. Then you got the International Signature Series. What does that come with?
Right. So it's the same thing as the Signature Series, except we added in a physical copy of Count Carlos and a piece of original artwork.
Whoa, piece of original artwork as well?
Yeah.
For 25 USD? Jeez.
Well, yeah, because I figured basically what I wound up doing is doing a sketch of one of the characters from the book. You know, either Jean Lafitte, the Griever, the King of the Dead, something like that.
Right.
Because like I said, it's like, you added on the extra 25 for the shipping. It's like, you want to put in something, a little extra.
Right. All right, Signature Series variant.
Correct. That's the Andy Kuhn variant. So basically, you get it signed by me, and the bookmark, which will be signed as well.
All right. Double trouble.
Now here you can get the exclusive and the standard covers. You can get a copy of each.
All right. Double Trouble Part 2.
Right. So then you get the exclusive and you get the variant, the Andy Kuhn variant. And what we did also is that if you get the signatures, like, because I didn't think about this, but somebody was like, "Whoa, what if I want 2 exclusive covers?" And I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't." Instead of making Double Trouble Part 3, I was like, "Well, look, I'll just put it as an add-on. So if you get a signature series and you want another charcoal cover, you can just add it on."
Oh, all right. There you go. Now you got a triple play.
You get all 3 of them.
All right. The charcoal cover, the standard cover, and the Andy Kuhn cover.
Yeah, all signed up.
Awesome.
I think you get a bookmark with it as well. Hit the thing. Let me see. And you get a sketch to go with it.
Ooh, damn. Pretty sweet. Hey, welcome.
What's happening?
Hey, Shay, nice God's Hand comic. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, man. WyzGyz got it.
Yeah. Soon as I heard about it, I was like, oh, man, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Yeah. Creator control.
All right, so this, and I put this on there, man. This was really, it was a local thing. I mean, it really was. I've had this in here since the very beginning, but it was one of these things where it was like, look, we have these conventions every year. This is before COVID and shit, but we have this convention every year in January. So I said, well, look, what we'll do is you're gonna get all the swag that's in there, and then what the real deal is though you get to come to the convention with me, and you get to sit behind a table and hang out and see what it's like to experience a convention from behind the table. Then after that, we were going to go down to Bourbon Street and go to Jean Lafitte's blacksmith shop, which is one of the oldest bars that is still in operation in the United States.
Gosh.
Go
Wow.
in there, have a few drinks, we talk about the story, and then we'd start talking about book 2. And we talk about the direction that was going in, some of the character development, and then you'd be able to actually develop your own character. So that's kind of
Oh,
what that was.
that's a trip. Man, check that out. That's like a really cool bundle.
Yeah, it could be anybody's for a measly $2,000. You know?
Yeah, measly. I wish my budget could afford that right now.
So do I. WyzGyz. So do I.
I'm curious as to when they'll start deciding to, bring back conventions and
I don't know, man. I
allow
don't know.
it to
New Orleans right now, mayor is kind of wacky, bro. I'm not quite nobody's really understanding what she's doing, and the people in New Orleans are starting to get kind of fed up, man, because New Orleans is a tourist town. You can't
Yeah.
keep it locked down like that, and it's like you have to let people, you got to open the shit up. So they pissing and moaning because they pissy because people down on Bourbon Street ain't wearing masks. And it's like, well, what you think, man? You got people down there, they drinking and partying. What you think they worried about, Matt? They ain't worried about no masks, man.
Yeah, it's like,
So,
yeah, you got to drink through your cloth mask.
that ain't happening, bro. Not locals anyway. I'm gonna tell you right now, ain't no locals doing that shit. The boys down there, I mean, so it's like the French Quarter never. I mean, the French Quarter had never, up until I think this past year, French Quarter never closed, man. I mean, shit, during Katrina, the French Quarter was open. It was ballroom, no power and shit. People in there going to ballrooms and white. I'm telling you.
Really? Dang.
Yes. Johnny Whites, man. It's just they were just up in there just drinking, partying and shit. It's like,
Sweet.
So I don't know when they're gonna get back going, brother. I don't know
Yeah.
when they're gonna put that back in.
Welcome, Soul Lion. Hey,
What's
guys.
happening, Soul Lion? But
Welcome,
it's,
Sam. Hello, everyone. Say hi to the Morning Rose
oh,
crew.
you stream snipe. What's happening? Congratulations, Sam. Congratulations on hitting your mark, brother.
Yeah, that's a cool project. Right on. Follow Anthony.
Thank you, Soul.
You're getting sniped. I was wondering, there was a sudden rush of people. It's like
that's funny, man.
Morning Roast raid.
That's awesome.
Pretty sweet. Hi, Bristol and Dave. Hello. That's too funny.
Oh, Dave.
Say hello, Morning Roast.
That is, baby.
Hello, Morning Roast.
Look, Keno's like, look, man, don't have Sim and Anthony start having a conversation through the two streams, because then both streams will be going on for hours now, man.
Don't cross the streams.
That's it.
The Morning Roast is really enjoying this stream. I appreciate it. Oh, that's so cool.
That is a trip.
Mad Ruth, just
Awesome,
back the international signature, shared on a Twitter and Facebook page. Hail ComicsGate, right on.
Hail Mad Ruth. Awesome, man.
Oh, that is so cool. Thank you so much. Hello, Bristolian Dave.
Oh, Dave.
Oh, man. Yeah, cool stuff. This is pretty darn awesome. That came with 2 copies of God's Hand.
You'll get all it's hard because they limit you to 10 items. Like, you can't put more than 10 items. Yeah, you can't. When I did it, you couldn't put more than 10 items in there. So that's why there's only 2 books. So basically, you'll wind up getting 3 books, 3 bookmarks. The Chronicles of Count Carlos, the Justice City Chronicles from 2005, number 1, 2 12 by 18 large metal prints, which are beautiful.
Large metal prints. Ooh.
Yeah, dude, they're beautiful. The hat, the T-shirt, and you'll get the original cover art.
Wait a minute, you got what hat? Let me see here.
This is only for that hat is only for. Okay, so we made that hat, and again, the perks that are on here are amended from the original perks from the campaign.
All
and
right.
we boiled them down. But we had hats, but hats were for like you had to spend like 300 and over for hats because it changes the entire shipping dynamics. Like it's like, yeah, I mean, you ain't fitting it in a Gemini bill. It changes the whole thing.
Right.
And so we had it to where, you know, if you were going to spend that much, then it was worth it. It's something, again, don't even go there. See how Hex is? Well, you see, man, don't even go there, bro.
Oh man. So was it literally a hat similar to Shay's cosplay hat?
No, it was just a typical hat, and it had the logo on the front, just a typical baseball cap.
Oh, like all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And it was a hat like that with a logo on it and stuff.
Oh gosh. All right. So you got. Let's see. Mind blown. Welcome, Yotam Dark Star.
Welcome, brother.
Yeah, that's a. So, are you saying that it's Indiegogo that limits you to 10, or some?
This when you set up this thing right here, right, and you go to put in what is included, items that are included. I was limited to 10 items because if you add that up, it's 10 items, and so that's what wound up happening. That's why the hat and T-shirt are one. I combined those, but you have original cover one, hat and T-shirt one. Justice City Chronicles 1, Count Carlos 1, that's 4, and then 2, 4, 6, that's 10. And then with like I couldn't go over 10. That's why hat and T-shirt are mixed together. And it's not just like, you know, so that's how it's like that.
How do they even know that
I don't know, because when you will not allow you to go over 10 items.
Wow, what a trip.
I mean, I'm assuming most people don't put 10 items on there. Like, I know what I mean? Like, it's a lot because again, it's a top tier, so it's a $2,000 thing. So it's like, okay, if you're willing to go in there, then you know, then we can do that, you know. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I was gonna be like, well, when you come down to go to the convention, I'll just give you all this stuff, and then I don't have to mail it, you know. Or if it's a local, which is really, this was more of a local thing. Like I kind of figured that, you know what I'm saying, that I would be able to get a local to go in on something like this than anything else.
Right.
But most people aren't going to put 10 items in there because that's a lot of shipping to put through there. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I don't know if it's like that now, but I know when I made this campaign, it was 10 items.
Yeah, because it's like, what kind of bots or scripting do they have that can track how many?
Well, it's probably preset in the, I don't want to say algorithm, but preset in the frame. So the frame is set for 10 slots. It won't exceed 10 slots. You follow what I'm saying? So it's like, so I think when you start putting it in the slots and you go 1 slot, 2 slot, 3, it won't recognize anything past them slots and go, and it'll basically, like if you don't fill out a field, you know how it shuts it down and puts a red thing by it, so it just won't allow you to put any more.
Oh, okay, all right. Because like if you go based on the bullets, you've got 7, so you might have theoretically 3 more slots.
Right, but it counts the item, how many items it actually is, how many quantity wise.
Yeah,
because each item it's a God's hand book. That's the item. What's the quantity? You know what I'm saying? So it reads out the quantity as well.
Okay.
Because it asks you that each one you put up there, it's like, well, how many of each?
Oh, all right.
So you have to put in how many of each you put in.
Gotcha. All right. Sim's wondering if someone took Metabarons.
There was somebody on the morning roast, Sam. You probably want to stay over there and talk to Metabarons on the morning roast for sure.
Kino Subway's waiting after me and Sim started having a conversation between our 2 streams now.
Yeah, it's happening right now. We're talking about how definitely we didn't say anything about Metabarons over here, but we're definitely sure it was on the morning roast. That's where that happened.
We're being morning roasted. Speaking of which, Metabarons is available on Amazon.
Oh man, it sure is.
Don't know if I want to check that out. Oh my gosh. Too funny. Yeah, so that's an unbelievable stash of goodies. And aren't those large metal prints those like what I guess Marvel's doing it or been doing it for a while, where and maybe even DC as well, but you print off like versions of superhero artwork or maybe even replicas of past comic book covers, and you get it printed on a metal plate, and then rather than traditional pictures or stuff that you frame by hanging off of a wire or a nail or what have you, you instead apply adhesive magnets to your wall, and then you attach the metal print to it, and that's how you display it.
Yeah, shit. We were just getting people to get frames for it. And basically doing it like that. But I mean, if you want to do it that way, you can do it that way as well. I mean, that's because I see, and I'm assuming. I don't know if Marvel. I don't know if they're using the same process. The sublimation process is where it's infused into the metal. So again, it's the same process with the big as it is with the little. It's infused directly into the metal, and so that's really. But it's made out of the same material, so you could theoretically put magnets on the back.
Yeah, it sounds pretty trippy. Was there one of the updates that I missed that actually showed what the metal plates look like? The metal prints?
No.
Okay.
But if you hold on one second.
Yeah. Thanks for dropping the link, Soul. Appreciate it. Sim is asking, are you there? Can you hear me even though you stepped away? Oh, he's muted. All right.
Son of a gun. All right. All right, I'm going to pull this. I'm going to do this real quick.
Real quick?
Pull this bullshit on me one last time. So give me 1 second.
All right. Oh.
I'm doubled up. All right. There you go. All right. So these are the 12 by 18s. See that?
Yeah.
It's like a mirror, bro. Look at that.
Whoa, that's so cool.
That's how slick they are, man. You know what I mean? Like it's really like it's severely like a mirror. You can see me in the thing. You see what I'm saying?
Dang. That's
how serious it is.
That is so nice.
Yeah. So that's what the bookmarks are like. And I can never get this right. But that's what the bookmarks are like.
Whoa.
They're just smaller versions of that.
That is so freaking
I know cool. It almost looks transparent, huh?
Yeah.
When I sell these when I would sell them at conventions, people would walk by and they'd stick their hand behind them because they would think they were transparent. They would be like, wait, they're not. I'm like, no, man, that's metal, man. You know.
Dang. So how do you have the other print handy?
No, it's just basically those. You'll get 2 of those is what you'll get.
Oh,
Get
okay.
2 of those.
All right. Right
Yeah,
on.
you get 2 of those.
Fantastic. Oh man, that is a trip. That is so cool. Let's see, where was I? Yeah, thanks for dropping the links, Soul Lion. Appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
So Sim is asking, what do you think of Batgirl joining Antifa?
Why are you trying to? Why are you trying to start some shit, man? I don't, man. I don't know. You know what? I'll tell you what. I love it. That's great. That's awesome. You know what that means? Batgirl joining Antifa. You know what that means? That means more. That means more money for us. That's what that means.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
means more money for us. That means more fans for us. So by all means, keep doing what you're doing. You know, DC and Marvel. You know, got you, man. You run them down. That's okay. We'll pick up the archetypes and we'll build our own over here. And you know, in 10 years, I do believe that in 10 years, if there's anything salvageable from the mainstream, ComicsGate will salvage it. They're going to come to us and they're going to want us to rebuild their heroes the same way that we built our own. That's my prediction. We'll check. I'll check back with you, WyzGyz, in 10 years. Let's see where that goes from there. You know?
Yeah, damn straight.
So
go back God's hand. Yep.
Thank you, Sam.
This is a really cool project. I like your hat, WyzGyz. Oh, thank you. It was actually made by Shay Zombie, aka Shay, aka Red Valkyrie. She created this cosplay hat, and they offered on this campaign this special tier that had the hat as well as a copy of the book. So I backed that tier as soon as it was available. And what's awesome is the attention to detail.
Look at that.
That's legit stitching all the way through. You probably won't be able to see it on my camera, but it literally is real stitching. And it's even signed by Shay herself, the artiste. Well, you can't see that there either. You know what? Hold on. Maybe I can do this as a workaround. See if this will work. Yeah, there's our signature.
Yeah, look at that.
And then the stitching.
Yep.
It's all the way through. It's not some cheap ass job where you just draw it on with chalk. It's real stitching. And then
no, it was good. It was nice. It was cool, man.
She formed all that, and there's even some glittery effect to the eyes.
She was in full paint makeup too, man. She had a painted man and everything.
Yeah, so it's pretty dang sweet. Sim says, great looking project from a cool cat.
My man Sim, boy.
Don't mention it. Anything. Anthony's our buddy. Right, so are you. That's why we're here. Yeah.
Also, thank you, brother.
Always appreciate your support. Awesome. Me want.
My man.
Bling bling. Sweet. Sim trying to get Anthony's blood pressure up.
It's a good question, man. Yeah, bro. It's a good question, but it's like, yeah, sure. Keep doing it. You know, just benefit us. So
Batgirl blends with Antifa rioting and destroying America. Yeah.
It's totally against. I mean, it's a bullshit move because it's totally against the character and shit. It's like it doesn't even make any sense. It's like she never was like. You had to rewrite the character. You had to rewrite everything about her. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. To make it that. That's not what the character ever was. And I never even really got into the character, and even I know that. You know what I mean? So it's like it's crazy, man.
It really is. It's unbearable. I sometimes people share some of these snippets, screenshots of current DC and Marvel comics, and they're trying to be political and crap, and they're trying to cater to an audience that doesn't exist, that doesn't buy comics.
That's exactly correct.
And it's so counterproductive. It's like, okay, you're willing to send yourself into bankruptcy just to push an agenda.
That's what I think has everybody scratching their heads. Is because they're like, well, I understand. Look, you made a decision,
Mm-hmm.
and you wanted to do this, and the climate isn't supporting it. So it's okay. You know, it was from a business. It's okay, but at some point you're going, well, when are you going to course correct? When are you going to say, hey, you know what? This is not working. I love you too, brother. It's my brother from another. That's my brother from a Canadian mother right there. Oh, snap. But you're even from, like I said, take away everything and just go dollars and cents from a business. You're a business. Like you're continuing to do something that is not. It's not benefiting your product. It's not benefiting your future. Like it's like what exactly are you doing? And so you're left with. You've become ideological now. You're being run by an ideology, and so you know what I mean. Like it's like, well, then you're not really a business then. You know what I'm saying? You're a propaganda machine. That's what you are. You're not a business. You're now in the arena of making propaganda. You're not in the business of making a product and giving it to consumers. That's not your primary. Your primary is not making a solid product and feeding it to the consumer and looking at what the consumer wants, following a standard of what is a good story, what is good craft, what is good art. Like you just forget all that. What the main aspect of what we're doing is some form of propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, it's you know what I mean? It's like it's so, you know. That I think everyone, even people who aren't fully aware, can tell you when they look at everything that there's something wrong. Not everybody can quite put their finger on what's wrong, but I think most people are like, well, something's wrong, bro. Unless you're just blissfully ignorant about it. Unless you just, you know what I mean? Unless you're just intentionally, you know, again, absorbed into the ideology. Unless you drank too much of the Kool-Aid and you kind of take this as some kind of battle that you're fighting the good fight against something. You know what I mean? And I think that's the difference, is that even though some of us feel like we're sometimes fighting the good fight against something, it's like, that's not really what I want to do. I want to make content. I want to make this, and I want fans, and I want to do this stuff. I don't want to get into this back and forth fighting against, like, go do your thing. You want to destroy Batgirl? Go do it. Fine. All good. Please let me go do my thing and leave me alone and let me do what I want to do.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, so, and I think that's where it's getting to, where it's like, look, something's wrong. That's fine. You don't think there's something wrong? Cool. Continue doing what you're doing, but leave me alone. Leave what I'm doing alone. Don't come over here now and start trying to fix my shit. Like, leave my shit alone. You go fix your stuff. You do your thing, and then let's come back in 5 years and let's see who's okay. Let's see who's working for who. Let's see who's building and who's tearing down. Because that's really the difference between ComicsGate and these people in the mainstream. Is one is we're trying to build, one is trying to tear down. And it's like, do your thing. We're gonna build.
For sure. And this is a seriously badass project.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Kino Subway says, this is so trippy. Stream Inception. Anthony has so much style.
Well, I got to give it all to New Orleans, man. You know.
Yeah, he has some kind of jazz musician flair. Anthony, you need to come back to the morning roast.
I know.
Getting lonely.
I know. We might have to do something Monday morning, man.
Very cool. Shit, this is so cool, man.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on, brother. Appreciate you fitting me in.
Well, I mean, I just wish I had you on much sooner. It's the weirdest thing. It seems like ComicsGate is growing so fast that I'm constantly finding campaigns that I've missed out on.
It is.
Sometimes sometimes I don't even hear about a campaign until after it's closed.
It's a lot, dude. It's a lot, man. It really is, because you're interacting with so many great people and so many great things, and at the same time you got a life and you're trying to do all this, and then you're trying to bounce back to this and remember. Well, what was we talking about a week ago? What was we talking about 2 days ago? This, that, and the other. Like you saying, like you had life show up this morning on you.
Yeah.
Show up, man, and it's like it's hard to keep track of it, because there's a lot of good creators out there. There's a lot of good content out there. There really is, man.
Yeah, for sure. Just doing a quick review of all this awesome artwork. Did it take you very long to build your team? Pick the people you wanted to work with?
Not really, because I had worked with the colorist before on a lot of my prints and stuff. So and so that was kind of like, okay, well, that's what I'm going to start with. And then I had to coerce. Well, Marcus had did the lettering on Count Carlos. So I brought him in and I said, okay, well, let's do this. I had to coerce him into kind of, being my editor and stuff like that. But, I'm getting him into ComicsGate, because he again, like us, we did this back in the day, got out of it. He became a business owner. He owns a pizzeria in New Jersey.
Oh, man.
Little Italy Pizza. So if you're ever in Jersey and you want to go get some pizza, Little Italy Pizza, go in there, tell them that the man with the black hat sent you for a free slice of pizza, and give him a hard time and stuff. And but I'm bringing him in, and like I said, we started Wolfpack Comic Company, and we're gonna start pushing out product now. You know what I'm saying? So January will be the first time that we kind of come out, and he's gonna come out and kind of lead the way, because it's his idea, it's his concept, and then right out on the heels of that, we'll be launching God's Hand 2.
Oh, sweet.
Another Justice. I'm trying to get 2 God's Hands out next year.
Oh, damn, really?
One kind of, yeah, and it's tough, man. Me and Sim were talking about this. Now I'm gonna stream tonight. Me and Sim were talking about this, because it's like, you want to do all these crossovers. Me and Sim talked about doing a crossover, and then me, Sim, and Stefani talking about doing a crossover. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Renee?
Yeah, man. So you're trying to do all your own projects, and then you're having all these other collaborations that are like, wow, you know what, man, this would be cool to do this, and this. And I think that the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see that is going to start really happening. You're going to see really great creators start to collaborate and create these elseworlds, these alternate realities, the alternate worlds, where anything kind of goes, and you're taking these cool characters and putting them in these amalgam worlds and going, well, what would happen if you had these characters? And what we're going to do is, by proxy, we're going to make our own multiverse. That's what's going to wind up happening.
Yeah.
Straight up.
That is freaking trippy. That you guys are already having discussions about that kind of stuff, and crossovers and stuff. That is pretty damn exciting. Mad Ruth says, nicely said, brother. Bristolian Dave says, hey, Anthony, backer number 320, baby.
Yeah, you're right, brother. Thank you, Dave.
Fantastic. Multi-stream backing.
Yeah, you're right.
Cough, cough. Crossover, cough, cough.
That's it, bro. I'm telling you, man.
That's what I do, apparently. A little less pushy, please. Really great creators and Sim.
And Sim, you know.
This is gonna be awesome. Yeah, that's
It is. I do think that the next couple of years in ComicsGate is going to be it's going to settle in is what's going to happen. So right now we're kind of getting past the initial kind of Wild West, you know, just anything kind of just fucking out there, and I think it's going to start to tighten down, but in a good way, in a very consistent way. I think it's going to start to really tighten up some, and you're going to see some real projects come out, some really good projects that I think are going to start at some point. I'm going to tell you, this is my prediction, really. At some point, someone in CG is going to land a movie deal or a Netflix deal, and then the spotlight is coming. So I'm telling you now, get everything you want ready to go, because at some point, someone is going to realize that there is another pond that exists that is fully stocked, that no one has fished in yet. And at some point, that's going to happen.
right.
And then all of a sudden, the fishermen are going to come fishing, bro. They're going to come fishing. And when that happens, then you're going to really see a whole nother phase take off, and a whole nother a real legitimacy that's going to come in, and then you'll see CG start really competing on the full stage. Right now, to me, CG has the crowdfunding. That's our domain. You know what I mean? We pretty much are not perfecting. We're creating an entirely different hybrid system that no one knows how to clock yet, because it's being made right now. As you and I are talking, this is it. What you and I are doing right here, right now, is part of the system, and that is changing things. So, you know, this thing has endless possibilities for growth. I believe that.
Oh hell yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't get into learning about and joining ComicsGate until like September, October 2019.
Okay, so you and I about what then?
That, I mean, once I discovered what was going on, it was like one of those adrenaline rushes suddenly. And that reignited my interest and passion for comics that I hadn't felt since like the 80s. And it was so inspiring that, you know, just about anyone who had a passion for comics could literally create their own book and run a successful campaign on Indiegogo. That, you know, I had to find a way to contribute in some way. And since I'm not ready with my own project yet, I figured what could be better than become a promoter of projects, especially some of the smaller projects that have unfortunately fallen by the wayside because they didn't get fully funded and didn't, you know, get to be created. So I made it one of my goals to, you know, do what I could to push creators and help in them getting fully funded. So that's been like an ongoing goal for me, at least. And it's pretty damn exciting. I think when it comes to making it big and making a huge statement, I think Ethan Van Sciver's property, Cyberfrog, has a chance of making more inroads. I don't know about interest in a movie or a TV series yet, but from what I've heard on his recent streams, there's an online toy reseller or online toy store that's interested in selling Cyberfrog toys. So that's pretty huge. And the fact that, you know, CG is starting to get into like action figure industry and plushies is really huge too. So like your boy Zach has his books. Those could easily translate into action figures. And I would say John Malin's Graveyard Shift could also translate. So yeah, there's nothing but good stuff ahead for CG, and it's just going to keep growing and growing really fast. And I think, like what you said, you made a good point that, you know, things are going to start to tighten for the better. You know, there's going to be more consistency, more higher quality product, and that's nothing but good stuff for CG's future.
Agreed.
Sim says Blood Hunt is getting pitched as a movie at the moment. Oh my gosh, seriously? Jeez, that's cool.
3D resin print. Let me tell you something. I'd like to.
Oh,
you and I are gonna have to talk, Sim, because I need to talk to you about how you get it. If you have access to a resin printer, or if you have access to a 3D printer, how do you scale? How do you get it from 2D into 3D?
oh man, that is so neat. That is really exciting. Yeah, also check out Witch Hunter, Dark and Medieval Folktale by White Cat Comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, they launched, what was it, yesterday?
That's Carla's book, huh?
Yeah, Carlo Tornielli and John Gallagher. What was cool about that is they picked a modest, a very modest funding goal of $1,000, and they got fully funded in, I think, less than 5 minutes.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, and they got over $2,000 funded in about 4 or 5 hours. So it was really exciting for them. Sim says, I even sent a copy of Blood Hunt to Robert Rodriguez.
Absolutely.
Nice. Leave people alone with Blood Hunt, dang it. Anytime, bro, DM me.
I will, man. I will.
Mad Ruth says, Zach warned about this, and we are seeing it. Crowdfunding floodgates are opening because of CG success. Not advocating for gatekeeping, but I have a lot memory.
It's definitely one of the elements. I agree. I hear what you're saying. I do, and it's weird because it's like, if you want to have an honest conversation about it, it's like gatekeeping is one of those terms that has a negative connotation to it, even though it's a neutral term. I mean, it really is a neutral term.
Right.
I don't think there's really any institution that doesn't have a modest form of gatekeeping. And I think that but what you want to do is, and I think me and Sim had this conversation. We had all kind of conversations about all kind of shit. But that you want to have the gate. You're going to have a gate, but you want to make it as wide as possible. You want to make house the limitations of the gate. You want to limit that as much as possible. I think if you look at like what's going on right now in the public, I think where you would want to gatekeep is to say, okay, so we have this thing and it's called free speech and it's for everyone, right? But we're going to gatekeep those people who wish to attack free speech. We get it. It's your right to say this stuff. But if you lead an actual campaign to destroy it, then we will step in. Because now what you're doing is you're attacking the fundamental core of freedom that allows people this thing, to suppress that. That is something that, unfortunately, we don't want to do. We do not want to do this. And this is the only circumstance that we're going to do this in, is to come in and say, well, no. Because now what you're trying to do is you're trying to basically kill this thing. And at some point, you have to make a decision. I know it sucks, and it's like, but you want to make it as general as possible. That, look, this is the only time that you kind of gatekeep on something, is when something starts to attack the fundamental foundation of why this thing exists. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, yeah, we're really not trying to limit people until you start trying to chop out the foundation and crush the whole thing. Then it's like, well, yeah, then by necessity, we kind of have to step in and be like, wait a minute, hold on a second. What you're doing here is jeopardizing everyone. We can't allow that. It's unfortunate. We don't want to do this, but you've made this decision that is forcing our hand. It's unfortunate, like I said, but I think you do have to gatekeep to an extent. And I would go with shit, I would go with some of the principles that are in the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution. It's just like, look, you're free to do what you want as long as what you're doing doesn't infringe upon other people's rights to do what they want.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to say the Pledge of Allegiance, don't say the Pledge of Allegiance. But don't come around here saying you want other people not to say the Pledge of Allegiance. That's a totally different thing. And that's where things have gotten wacky. You know, you allowed people to say, I don't want him doing that. And it's like, well, who gives a fuck what you want? You do what you want. That's fine. But then now you want other people to do shit that you want them to do. It's like, yeah, I get that. We all want people to behave the way we want them to behave. The world would be such a better place if people just treated me the way that I want to be treated. You know how great the world would be if people just did what I want them to do all the time? That's not reality, motherfucker. That's not how shit works. Everybody thinks that way. Everybody thinks that way. So it's like, that's why there's all this bullshit. And that's why at the end of the day, we've come to this consensus of like, look, what we've learned from this warring tribes and this warring stuff is like, look, do you, baby. And if you can make it have bestest, my favorite thing is Vito Corleone from The Godfather. This is my philosophy. Do you, bestest, your interests don't conflict with my interests. And that's it. And we both be happy. You know what I mean? When your interest starts to conflict with my interest, then we are going to wind up being at an impasse.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then so it's like, so just do your thing. Be happy with it. Go make the books you want to make. Do the things you want to do. If what you're doing has merit, if what you're doing has substance, if what you're doing is something that is in this moment wanted, it will do well. And if it doesn't, then you have to go back to the internals and say, is my craft right? Is this right for me? Is my story right? What elements that I brought to the table? Did I bring the right elements to the table? Don't bring a fucking salad to a goddamn fucking steakhouse. They're not interested in it. You know, just like you don't bring a steak to a vegan place. They're not interested in it, man.
Right.
You know
yeah. Damn. Preach, brother. Bristolian Dave says, I may have missed the part of the stream, but what's your plans once this campaign is done?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do, Dave, is I'm going to go into fulfillment. I'm going to fulfill it and send it out. But we have me and my partner Marcus. We put together a company called Wolfpack Comics, and we're going to be putting out a project in January called Justice City Chronicles, and that'll be out in January. The book is probably 90% done by the time we launch it. By the time we launch it, it'll probably, I would say, by the time we launch it, it'll be 100% finished. It'll be done. So we'll launch that, and then we'll go into fulfillment. But in the meantime, I'll be writing and starting to put together God's Hand Volume 2, and I'd like to launch. I would love to launch that in late April or May, and have the bulk of that done, so that then in October I can launch the third one. Because if I can't launch in October, then I got to push it back to January. So that's what that is. So that's what we're looking. But I think we're also going to put out another volume of Justice City. We're going to try to, anyways, again by the end of the year.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's going on. And then you, like you say, you don't know, the opportunities pop up, and crossovers, and just different things like little backup stories or whatever pop up. I mean, you don't know. But as far as Wolfpack Comics goes, it's like we would like to get 2 Justice Cities and 2 God's Hands off the ground. Like I said, the Justice City in January that one will be ready to go. The next one, which I won't do the entire story. We're going to wind up hiring out artists and stuff for that. So it'll be interesting. Like I said, it'll be interesting, man. Marcus is a straight writer, and he's got a lot of good books and a lot of good properties, and he's going to be hunting down artists, and he's going to be hunting down people to help him make some of that stuff. So
nice.
That's what's going on, brother.
Wolfpack Comics, good name.
Did you see the Dave? Did you get to see the intro to the video? I don't know if you got to see the intro to the video, but if you go to the campaign and I think it's the is it the second one? Which
Oh,
video is it?
the one we played earlier?
Yeah, is it the second one? I think
Yeah, it's the second one.
video. That video right there, Dave. If you watch that, we actually added a an intro to it. So
Let's play it now.
go ahead, brother.
Love that graphic. That's pretty fancy.
Yeah, Marcus don't do anything half-assed. He goes all in. You know the rest of it. I guarantee they've seen it. They've seen the rest of it.
The victims bear an unknown supernatural mark. When the city's protector, Marie-Laveau, is found murdered, a collective team of reformed sinners with supernatural powers, led by the immortal Jean Lafitte, are called in to solve the case. As they delve deeper into Marie's death, they begin to suspect the rise of the Black Queen, an entity that has been asleep for centuries. Now awakened, her evil threatens to free the ancient gods of chaos and cover the world in a cloak of darkness. I smell human. As her minions crawl out of the shadows and threaten to unleash horror upon the city, only Jean Lafitte and his team of hunters stand between the darkness and the total destruction of the city. All help now rests in a team simply known as God's Hand.
Cool. How much of your $10,000 budget went into hiring Morgan Freeman to do your voiceover?
Well, fortunately, I'm a part of a club called the Illegitimate Children's Club, and so I am the illegitimate child of Dr. John Mac Rabenak, and Morgan Freeman has an illegitimate son, and we know each other, and so he kind of hooked me up. So I don't know. It's one of those. It's a New Orleans joke because I get it all the time. Like you got to know who Dr. John is. Like really kind of be into it. I don't know if do you know who Dr. John is?
I do not.
Okay, Dr. John is Mac Rabenak. He's a musician, and from New Orleans, and he wears hats like this. He passed away, but he was, he's even got more accent, and that's how he sings. He's like, "Oh, such a night," and he sings like that. So every time I meet people, they're like, "God, you look like a young Dr. John." And one time they told me that, and I was like, I'm his illegitimate son. We really don't like to talk about it and everything. We keep it real hush hush. So I use it as a little joke, man.
Dave says, "Sounds good, man. Looking forward to your new stuff."
Thank you, Dave, man. Appreciate it, brother.
That's sick. Love that, man. Really memorable.
Yeah.
Right on. Very cool. Very cool. Let's refresh this. To be honest, I don't remember where we were when we started, but I think we got a couple more backers.
Let's see. Who's that? 3? We got 2 backers. You had 301. You had 303 now.
Right on.
Look at that, bro.
Sweet.
Kill him.
All right. Fantastic. I think we can bring this to a close, wrap this up. It's been a blast hanging with you.
I had a lot of fun, man.
This has been really cool. And would you do the honors and share with the world how you can be found on social media?
All right. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I left any out. I think Tumblr. You can find me on all these platforms. And you can find me at www.kiddestructo.com, which is my personal website. But you can find me on Twitter and Facebook under either Anthony Figaro or Kid Destructo. And then you can go check out the campaign at Indiegogo. It's called God's Hand. Yeah, that's it.
Right on. Fantastic. So, are you legit on TikTok?
I am. I am. Check it out. I posted up the full because there's a full Wolfpack Comics. It's like 30 seconds long. Like it's a full production, right? Like Marcus really went out, bro. Like it's 30 you saw the last 13 seconds of it, right? But there's a whole beginning part to it. I posted that on TikTok, and then I posted the thing I posted on Twitter the other day where you got to see the process where it shows the rough and then the pencils and then the inks and then the colors and then the words. I made that on TikTok, so that's up there as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, TikTok's good for that shit, man. It's a trip, bro. It really is. I'm on what is it? Parlor. I'm on Parlor too. Yeah. I'm over there on Parlor too. So
yeah. I thought for a second that I half expected you to have a TikTok channel where it shows you dancing. Because it seems to be really popular for people.
It's weird. Yeah, TikTok's strange. TikTok's strange because it's this amalgam of like kids and teenagers, and I mean it's like there's everybody on there.
Yeah.
It's very wide. Like it's very, like you say, it's like ComicsGate. It's very wild still. You know what I mean? It isn't like Instagram. It's not like Facebook at all. And it's like it's different from Twitter because I don't know, man. It's more just people just being goofy and funny and doing shit. It's very lax. It's very lighthearted. I mean, there are some people on there who do commentary and stuff, but a lot of it is just fun stuff, man. To go in there and just play around and stuff. People do goofy stuff on there and stuff.
Yeah, what I find as a kick is when it got real popular because kids loved recording themselves dancing and doing all these goofy challenges, but then the parents get involved too. And they've got their own TikToks now.
I seen one this morning that made me laugh my ass off, and it's when hurricanes come, and so it's like they show Mississippi burning. It's the same guy, and he's like, and he's getting on that table, and they're like Alabama, and he's going into the closet, and they're like Georgia and Texas, and then they get to Louisiana, and there's a dude, and like he's got floaties on and flippers, and he's running outside, he's jumping in the water and shit. It's like, man, it's about right, brother. New Orleans is like, we used to have this saying, well, we don't run from hurricanes, we drink them, because they got a famous drink in the French Quarter called Hurricanes. And we known for them, you know what I mean? And it just and then we're like, nah, man, we drink them, motherfucker. We don't run from them, So it was fun. I was watching that this morning on TikTok.
You guys are known for that drink. Is it at least a tasty drink?
It is. It is, but it's a red drink. It's a sweet drink, so it has stained many people's clothes. Coming back out, bro. It has stained many people's clothes. You know what I mean? You should be walking down the corridor. Believe me, you'll see a lot of red. You'll be like, "Is that blood?" It's like, "No, it's a hurricane, bro." It's like, "Oh shit, got him."
Mad Ruth says, "Thank you for the stream. Glad I got a chance to listen to what Anthony had."
You're right, man. Yeah, you're right, Mad Ruth.
Very cool. Very cool. You can find me on Facebook and YouTube under WyzGyz Entertainment. Parlay under WyzGyz Parlays. Twitter under WyzGyz Tweets. Twitch under WyzGyz Twitches. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Mark the bell for notifications so you hopefully don't miss a single video or stream. And drop a comment down below and let us know your favorite part of the stream or what you like or are most excited about of God's Hand. And I want to thank everyone in chat for hanging with us. Thanks for the stream snipe. That was a blast.
Yeah, it was.
It was so funny. And thanks to everyone who watches us on replay. thanks to our very special guest, Anthony Figaro.
Thank you for having me on, brother.
Oh, my pleasure. We got to have you on more often.
Anytime, just drop me a line, bro. I'm a sucker for good conversation, man.
Awesome. We are ending the broadcast in 3,